These are all my Lego bins, sorted by color. These are some Lego sets. These are some other Lego sets. This is my minifigure collection. This box has more Lego sets. Box has more Lego. This whole bin filled with instruction manuals. The Lego bin filled with a bunch of random pieces. Not sure what this is. Background. I wonder what noob lives down here that has a Windows Vista computer. Oof! Alright, at least he's got this. Here for printing out important documents, yeah. Bookshelf with books, cause, you know, reading is just the video games to feed the soul. Of course, the complete saga. Look at this dude. She turns the light above the bar on and off. Oh look, some more sets. What a surprise. This is the only window that connects me to the outside world. It's dark. I don't like it. Part is, no one can hear me if I yell. Wow. For those of you who've been following my channel for a while, you've gotten a good idea of how much effort goes into these videos. My Ninjago series started in late 2017 and has continued to this day into 2019. The finale of Season 3, The Hunted Ones, dropped a few weeks ago, and I feel it's the perfect time to finally discuss it. But wait! First of all, before we get into that, I have a quick list of YouTubers that you need to go check out and subscribe to right now, because they've all been great supporters, friends, and just chill people. Zahid Ghafoor, Mitchell O Studios, Replay Playback 17, CA Zack Studios, Ethan Studios, Brickfilmer125, Friendly Android Studios, Mythos 5, SPI Studios, Master Brick 123, DS Ninja Productions, Yellow Brick 15 Studios, and the Master of the Brick. Links to all those channels will be in the description, and just because you're not on this list does not mean I do not value your comment or your support. I just really didn't want this list to be super long and take up the video. Alright, now that we have gotten that taken care of, I'd like to start off by answering some questions that I asked you guys for in a community post a few weeks ago. First off, from LAP Productions, asking, will you make a Legacy season or a March of the Oni season? Actually, it's going to be pretty much, both. As well as my own story kind of blended into it. The Oni will have a part of it, a part in it, as well as some other villains, but yeah, it'll be very much Oni centered, but there will be a lot of Legacy involved as well, kind of mixed in, as well as my own custom story, so it's going to be a little different. Kind of like The Coming Storm, but with still, you know, the idea of the actual show mixed in. I don't know. It's hard to explain it, but you'll see, I guess, when the season premieres. But yeah, good question. CA Zack Studios. I would like to know how you came up with the idea of the Foreseer. I would also like to know what your plans are moving forward. The Foreseer was a character I came up with early in the playing stage for Riders of Oni. I knew that I already had plans for Harumi as a character, and having her be the quiet one wouldn't have made as much sense in my head. The Foreseer was always intended to be the one behind it all, you know, pulling the strings when it comes to people like Harumi and Garmadon. In one of the original scripts, the Foreseer was actually going to be killed by Garmadon later on, which would only further enhance Garmadon's character arc that I was working on. My plans for the future, moving on, are pretty much same as always. Season 4 will be in the works, as will be some secret projects I hinted at a few months ago. That Clone Wars animation was also one. Uh, Other than that, you may see some Brick films unrelated to my series as well later on. I'm not sure if I'm going to do more Clone Wars Brick films yet or not. That was more of a test, I guess, to see how it would go. But yeah, so I do have some other projects I'm working on, and mock videos will definitely be coming back soon. I have been terribly procrastinating that Fire Dragon mock showcase. Hopefully, I will get that done soon. Brick Filmer 125, what were some of your favorite scenes to film this season? All right. One of my favorite scenes is in episode 6 when Lloyd and Gorman faced off in Hiroshi's Labyrinth and the rain was pouring down on them. It was really fun and interesting for me to do because it was my first time trying out a more realistic rain effect, which actually was just using a spray bottle every few frames as I animated. It ended up looking pretty cool. I picked it up from another animator here on YouTube a few years ago and just never had a use for it until now. I think it came out pretty good. Other favorite scenes would be the diner scene in the first episode, Zane versus Mr. E in episode 4. I think that was one of my favorite fight scenes so far. And the ninjas return in episode 9 when they come in on their dragons. Replay Playback 17 asks, what is your writing process for an episode and overall season? Writing for a season generally begins at least in a skeletal process, a good time before I get around to releasing the episodes. I like to collect my thoughts and think it all through so I can really bring something great without the writing being rushed. Scripting usually goes through a rewrite about three or four different times, maybe even 5 before I finally settle on something I like. And even then, I make last-minute edits all the time when I find something that simply doesn't make as much sense as I thought it would, or it doesn't feel right for the tone of the episode. Storyboard is pretty important. I would show some of it, but the drawing is horrible. As a tip to younger animators and writers, always know where you're starting and where you'll end before you get too focused on the middle. Otherwise, a ton of unfortunate plot holes could open up, and it may just simply not be your best work. Vladitor24, how long does it take to make one episode? It really depends. Sometimes it can take a week, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes 3. Life just happens, personal things happen, but animation typically takes me 2 or 3 days, depending on how much time I have to work. Editing usually only takes me a day or 2, plus often letting the videos render overnight. Zahid Ghafoor asks, how far did you plan the overall story of the Coming Storm / Rise of Oni / The Hunted Ones, like with Claire, Harumi, and other elements? Also, how do you go about setting up filming for an episode? And I'd be interested to hear how you go about filming more complex shots, like when the ninja arrive, or when Lloyd is fighting everyone at once. Claire's character arc has always been a big part of the story of my series. Since the first season, I had planned for her to get to that point when she would be stuck in a loop. She's been reborn into the timeline, different person, but the same person at the same time, if that makes sense. Harumi becoming an official character at the time merely made it so much more convenient when I tried to figure out how to fit Claire's return to the series into Rise of Oni. Obviously, when I started writing The Coming Storm, Hunted didn't even exist yet, and Sons of Garmadon had only been briefly shown to us by the clip from Comic-Con. But as time progressed, I found ways to integrate the story from The Coming Storm into the next 2 seasons. They all connected pretty well, in my opinion, so I'm pretty glad about that. Harumi's character arc that was set up over the past 3 seasons is kind of dying down now. She will have some role in the next season, but the big arc I had going for her before is now less prominent in the series. This season will have more focus on other characters. For filming, I try to get as creative as possible. I've tried, but probably not enough to always build more for the set. That's definitely something I'll try working on as things get started for next season, as well as lighting. That's an issue I've ran into as well. I will definitely try and get that worked on. As for complex shots, that's definitely a place where storyboard is helpful. I try to picture for myself But there are honestly plenty of times I've just given up trying to go exactly the way I originally wanted and just get creative with it. Alright, now let's talk about some of those deleted scenes. As I mentioned, my seasons often go through many rewrites and edits, which means that some entire scenes or episodes get taken out. One of the earliest scenes I scrapped was really a full episode that was called Sound of the Resistance. This was going to be pretty much the first big arc of the season, I guess. It was going to be pretty early on and would focus around Lloyd and Nia realizing that without the help of the people, the resistance would always be too small. They just didn't have that many allies. So they go to this bar slash club slash karaoke club. I hadn't really decided yet. And there they would meet Sullivan Brandy, a passionate singer and lone survivor of the burning of his home village. In the first scene, Lloyd and Nia notice Sullivan. They quickly take note of how much his singing touches the people in the audience. He would overall be a pretty trusting, convincing person that people fit together with very easily. They would eventually manage to convince him to join the resistance and use his voice to impact the people and help gain allies. This episode was scrapped after the second or third rewrite of the first few episodes, as what I eventually decided to go for didn't fit well with the character arc. Maybe if it hadn't happened in a different season, it would have worked, but the Hunted Ones simply didn't have room for it. Sullivan would eventually go on to be killed by Brock, who is a character I want to discuss next. Brock's backstory was a scene I had originally planned to fit into one of the final episodes of the season, and would be at the start of the episode before the intro. Brock's parents were actually thieves, and they would go out every night to rob places and get some extra cash. This meant that from a young age, Brock took into his own life the tendencies of his parents, the ones who obviously had the most influence on him. Brock's father was also slightly abusive and was very rough on Brock even as a kid. And the deleted flashback would have included Brock's parents arriving back at the house late at night, and Brock asks them what they stole. Brock's dad tells him to mind his own business, and that whatever you own is what you take for yourself, implying that Brock wouldn't get a share. He would have to steal for himself. This flashback would fade back into present day, with Brock preparing to hunt down Lloyd in the city, which was the big fight scene in episode 9. I scrapped this scene at the last minute because some topics and ideas that might have been brought up with that scene, especially with the abuse, while it may have only been mentioned, I just felt it may not sit well with the younger audiences. And since I wasn't planning on taking Brock's character that far to begin with, I figured there wasn't much of a point in adding a flashback. The final big deleted scene that I have kept saved on my laptop, this was the big Oni invasion. I had actually originally planned for the season to end on a much darker tone, with the ninja defeating the Foreseer only to watch helplessly as the city is overtaken by the Oni. Many of the ninja's allies would presumably die, and Garmadon would actually not help the ninja and would side with the Oni, figuring that's the only way to survive, and he was already at that point pretty used to an Oni since he had worked for the Foreseer. I would explain this further, but some of it could possibly spoil parts of my next season, I guess. So I guess you guys will have to wait until then. But anyway, that's all I have for the big deleted scenes. There were more, but most were small, almost insignificant scenes that I figured weren't really worth being brought up, such as an alternate ending of episode 9 with Emperor being an Oni, that tricks Cole into opening the Cursed Realm, and then I remember that the Cursed Realm was destroyed, so yeah. And then there was this one minor, very preliminary deleted scene, I guess. I forgot about that. And basically, yeah, it didn't end up happening because I just didn't have the parts ready at the time, but there was going to be this tiny little cameo for BrickFilmer125, who is another YouTuber on here. I just thought it was going to be funny, I guess. Basically, the Sons of Garmadon, we're going to have like this, I don't know if you call it drop-off point or whatever, but when people entered or exited Ninjago City, they had to be stopped and they have to give all their information to one of the Sons of Garmadon. and they would ask for occupation, and BrickFilmer125 would just walk up. He would say his occupation is Brick Filmer and his name is Brick Filmer, and then the Sons of Garmadon member would get confused, and I don't know. I didn't plan it out very much at all. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I could have even gotten Brick Filmer himself to actually voice act for that one little tidbit. I don't know. But yeah, that was taken out at the last minute. Not even last minute, actually. It was just not put in the script at all because I just decided to keep it out. Maybe I should have kept it. I don't know. Brick Filmer, if you're watching this far into the video, let me know if you want that cameo to happen at some later time. I might make it happen. Alright guys, I hope that you enjoyed today's behind the scenes, deleted scenes Q&A video. It was a bit of a mess, but yeah, I've been putting this out for a while. I know I announced this video many weeks back, and I just haven't gotten around to finishing it up. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys have any further questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Season 4 will be coming very soon. The trailer is in the works as we speak. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. And let me know in the comment section down below what your favorite episode was in my series, if you're even watching this far through the video.